And welcome to those of you just joining us for analysis of tonight's big Republican debate. We saved the best for you. Well, that's sort of offensive to our earlier guests. I don't know, that's kind of mean. With Chris Stirewalt, Howie Kurtz, Frank Luntz, and his focus group. But we turn now to one of our favorite political analysts, Dr. Charles Krauthammer, and what he thought was one of the big moments of the night. Listen to what happened when Senator Cruz was asked what he meant when he started yesterday of accusing Donald Trump of having, quote, New York values.
The values in New York City are socially liberal or pro-abortion or pro-gay marriage, focus around money and the media. Not too many years ago, Donald did a long interview with Tim Russert. And in that interview, he explained his views on a whole host of issues that were very, very different from the views he's describing now. And his explanation, he said, look, I'm from New York. I guess I can frame it another way. Not a lot of conservatives come out of Manhattan. I'm just saying.
New York is a great place. It's got great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. You had two 100... We rebuilt downtown Manhattan, and everybody in the world watched, and everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers. And I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
Charles Krauthammer is a syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor, and author of the book Things That Matter. What a moment.
And I think the telling moment there was the final split screen. You saw Cruz on the right, utterly speechless and essentially beaten. That was a pretty rare event. I'm surprised the focus group was looking so much at the exchange between the two of them on the birth issue. That was a win for Cruz, but I thought it was a minor one. This one I thought was electric.
I'm going to ask him about this one next, by the way. They're coming back after. I'm going to ask them, but go ahead.
Two things are surprising about that exchange. First of all, Cruz, who's the best debater of the group, had to know this was coming. He had to know it was coming because Trump had said the same answer about 9/11 in one of the television shows. So he knew what was coming, and he was utterly speechless. He had no response. Look, Cruz had dropped this thing about New York in a tongue-in-cheek way as a wink-wink to people in Iowa.
There had been message testing in Iowa in a phone call, which Cruz did not. It was unclear when he came on my show the other night, but it was pretty clear somebody connected to Cruz was behind it. And they tested that message, and it must have tested well, because the next thing we knew, Ted Cruz was saying it.
Well, it might have tested well in Iowa, but not in a national debate. And the other surprising thing is not just that Cruz walked into a trap knowing what was coming, having no answer, but that Trump acted in a way that's quite uncharacteristic. If you noticed how he dropped the tone of his voice, it was serious, and he slowed down. And he delivered that in a way that was sober and serious, unlike the way he generally speaks, which is quickly and half sentences, jumping around and with a lot of sort of energy, but also, I mean, animus sometimes. I think he played that. That was the 9/11 card, and he dealt it out of the deck in a way that was surprising for Trump. I thought that was the moment of the debate. Now, if you score the debate on who won this round, who won on points, it would be different. But I think that was a moment where Trump clearly had won. Cruz, the main challenger, had lost, and that alters the calculus of the whole evening.
Trump nailed that answer, and I was saying internally, if he had finished it, if he had finished it with, we saw the hundreds of firefighters and police officers run into the burning buildings to save others here in New York City. Those are our New York values. Those guys had New York values. Yeah. It really would have been the end. I mean, it would have been the end.
But that's asking a lot of Trump. The fact that he was slow, serious, how sincere he was, I leave to others. to judge, but I thought it was extremely effective. And again, the fact that Cruz had no answer was shocking. But I think
look at this, Charles. Just hold that thought. But look at this. This is on Twitter now. This is actually from Mia Farrow, but it's got a hashtag. It's going around New York values, and you see what they're showing: the firefighters in front of the fallen trade centers on 9/11. In the nation. Iowa is the first state to vote in the caucuses, but the whole country, they love the New York firefighters and they love the New York police and they love what those guys did on 9/11 and the sacrifice they made. So you got to be careful.
Well, that was a jiu-jitsu move by Trump that was rather surprising. But I would say the other winner would have been, as always, as usual, Rubio. I would have again included Cruz in that because of his fluency and his strength, but that one moment I thought detracted a lot. But Rubio, as always, had a combination of articulateness and passion, and that passion is there all the time. Some people are saying he's getting angry. I think it's not. It's the kind of thing, I mean, it's a version of the anger that Trump was, forgive me, trumpeting and saying, this is why I'm angry, because the country is being misrun. But the anger in Rubio is less that, it's a sense that we could be doing this, we aren't, and we can do it if we realign the values that we have and see the world clearly. He's done that in every debate, and I don't think he stumbled once on this.
Who's your next favorite? Was there anybody else who you thought, put points on the board, or was there anybody who you just are ready to write off as complete non-factors?
Well, there are a lot of, Carson, I'm afraid, is a non-factor. I'm afraid that Kasich is as well. He keeps recurring and returning to his experience in an election where everybody understands that experience isn't only irrelevant, it's a negative. For whatever reason, however crazy that is. But Jeb had, I thought, his best night. He can never complete his attack, but he had the courage to take on Trump on the Muslim immigration issue in a direct way. Everybody else had a version of how he would restrict immigration, but nobody took on Trump directly. Bush did, which I give him credit for. The problem is that he has an instinct for the capillary. And that is, right when you think he's about to land the punch, he just can't do it. So even though on his own scale, I thought it was his best night, it wasn't enough. It's not going to make a difference.
He was better in his ad today.
Exactly.
Charles, great to see you. Thank you.
My pleasure.